All right. It's your boy JkelzBangaz with the bangers. Today, I want to show you guys a studio tour of what I use on my day-to-day production. First, we can go over the keyboards. And honestly, when it comes to keyboards, I use each one for different purposes. And the reason being, especially with production, there's different types of keyboards. You got synthesizers, you got MIDI keyboards, you got MIDI keyboards with drum pads. So I use them all for different purposes. The first one is the Mini Nova synthesizer. I had this for a while now. I don't use it as much as I do the more basic MIDIs. And reason being is I use this one personally strictly for the talk box. I'm a big talk box person. One of the biggest reasons I actually got into music, or even just loving the sound of R&B music, was because of the talk box. So when I first heard that talk box back then, it was like super different. It just caught my attention. So I had a talk box for a while. I have the Banshee Rocktron talk box. I like it. I use it for a lot of my R&B tracks for background vocals, or just to add a little touch to the background vocals, or even the instrumental. I have plenty of instrumentals where I just have the instrumental and I have a talk box maybe in the hook or doing some ad libs. So the Mini Nova is great for the talk box. It's small keys. I was able to create a preset that is specifically for the talk box, because it's a certain sound signal that you want to send to the talk box that when you're using the talk box, it comes out pretty clear. So Mini Nova talk box, I use that for sure for the talk box. Then we got the Roland Juno DS. This is another one I don't use all the time on the day-to-day, but I do have it specifically for kind of to have that vintage sound when it comes to production, because a lot of sounds nowadays you use for your plugins. You got VST plugins, but there's something about having just that old synthesizer pads. The Juno DS is good for having that retro sound just available, for old synthesizers and stuff like that. Now, the Complete Control 49, this is another one I had for a while, and I like this one a lot because the feel of it, the keys, the feel of the keys is beautiful. So I definitely use this a lot more than most of the other ones. This is probably the number one MIDI keyboard that I do use on a day-to-day, because it's just the feel of it is definitely I definitely like the feel of it. That's the main thing. I usually go to the Complete Controls, the nice feel of it, the vibe of it. You got the LED lights, so it definitely brings a vibe at the same time. It also has, access to the Native Instruments Complete plugins, but honestly, I don't use it too much for that. It comes in handy sometimes, maybe, but I still don't use it specifically for the complete bundle. I barely even use it for those reasons, but it does come in handy if I do use some of the complete sounds or softwares. Then we got the M Audio Axiom. This one, obviously it has more keys, so this one's good if I'm playing, just playing some R&B keys, or something where you're running up and down the scales, or you need more notes available. This is where this MIDI keyboard comes in handy, because a lot of my other keyboards don't have as many keys. So this one, It's right there, and it has a lot of keys. I actually have some of the notes on there that I put on a while ago. Just fresh reminder of notes and keys. I'm at this point as a producer, I'm big on scales. I'm big on notes. When you're working with singers, mostly, but I don't want to say mostly, but for the simple fact that a lot of rappers are rapping in autotune. So this is a big thing. When you have your autotune, make sure the instrumental you're rapping on, the autotune is on key, is in the same scale as the instrumental, because that's a big thing, especially as a producer, knowing what scale the rapper or singer is singing in, because that's, that makes a big difference when it comes to mixing or just sound quality in general. So the Axiom-Air are good for R&B, playing keys, utilizing all the keys. That's what that Axiom-Air comes in handy for me for. Then we got Arturia. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not even sure. I've seen this brand for a while now. I never really got too deep into it, but I got this for, honestly, just for the size. It's right there in front of my desk. It's not taking up all my desk space, which I had the complete control on my desk for the longest. But since I have my laptop up here now and I have other things up here, I actually upgraded my desk from one I had previously. I had a slide out keyboard, for my keyboard, and I would have the Axiom-Air where I could slide the keyboard in and out. But this desk I upgraded to doesn't have that feature. It doesn't take much space, and honestly, when I use this one a lot too. This is probably top two. Between this one and the Complete Control, I use the most on a day-to-day. And honestly, the biggest reason that I use the Arturia or keyboard is I go through sounds. So when I'm going through sounds, producers, beat makers, you know how it is. When you're going through sounds, you got to hit them keys just to run through the different sounds, and you're clicking the down arrow, making sure you pick the right sound. When I'm making a beat and I hear what's in my head, I got to process that fast. Like I like to have the equipment right there in front of me to make sure I can find the right sound that I'm hearing. And also, when I'm ready to lay it down, I have something in front of me or close by that I can utilize to make it happen. And this is where this comes in. I'm using it to go through the sound. The small keys come in handy too, because sometimes I don't need all the big keys. I don't need all the 88 keys and 49 keys, 60. I don't need all that. I just kind of have this there. And honestly, I program a lot of my drums in here. So when I'm doing my beats, I'm using a small keyboard for the most hand. And I was using the machine for a while. I love the machine too, but I just got so used to using the keypads to make the drum patterns, to use them on the hi-hat patterns, that I just kind of stuck with it for a while. And the machine right now just catching dust. And like I said, I love the machine. It's good. I use it a lot in a lot of the production, a lot of beats. But right now, the keyboard's right here. It's an easy access for me. And obviously, honestly, I love using the keyboard to make my beats on. So this keyboard is a multi-purpose keyboard, and there's really nothing to it. Like, it's a small keyboard, but it really does a lot of things. So that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to keyboards. Each one I use for specific reason, and all those specific reasons are important. The key racks and different keyboards, they come in handy for producers. I definitely, I started off with one. When I started off with one keyboard, I made the best of it, and you can make the best out of one keyboard. You don't need all these keyboards to start off with, but it is come in handy when you working on different projects where it would come in handy for getting it done at a speed, and you can utilize the different things that come with it. But so next we're gonna go into my recording, the stuff I use for recording. And I would say Universal Audio is my biggest brand that I use for recording. And this can be for vocals, it can be for, instruments that I might record. So, I've been using the Apollo Twin. I've been using Apollo Twin for a while now, and it does exactly what I needed to do. It's user friendly. I would say the plugins phenomenal. The quality of plugins is definitely top notch. I give them that. And I also have the Universal Audio 6176. It's a tube amplifier. I use it a lot for the vocals. So when I'm recording an artist, the microphone is running right through this. And I also have the Clark Technic. It's an equalizer. It's a tube equalizer, and the Universal Audio also has tubes in it. So I use both of them, but honestly I use the Universal Audio 6176 the most. I would say the EQ Clark. I honestly just turn that on just for the sound. I don't really use that too much with EQing, because when you're EQing a lot of vocals, every voice has they have a unique voice. So you want to go back and be able to have more control over just one EQ. Your ears, when you listen to loud music, you listen to a lot of things, your ears get tired. So that being said, you might come back to a mix the next day and you might not like that EQ that you programmed specifically for that artist at that time. So with that being said, I like the EQ post recording instead of recording as the before or as the artist is recording. I want to have more control over the EQ, so I do the EQing after the vocal is recorded. And technically you could EQ it, have an EQ dialed in, like a general EQ, to cut off some of the low ends or boost some of the high ends. That's cool. That's cool too. And you can go in and do more detail EQ on the software. And I did that a few times. But still, I just got back to turning all the knobs. I just bypass it at this point, and I use the EQ in the software. It just gives me more control. It's right there, and that's what a lot of things are moving to. A lot of digital use, but that's why I actually got these, just to have that sound. Because one thing I learned is sometimes when you just run the microphone through these hardware boxes, like an EQ or a tube amp or whatever compressor, it automatically gives it a vibe. You don't gotta go in there and fine tune everything, even though that's good. But sometimes I just like that organic sound that it's bringing when you plug these things in. So that's what I'm using it for right now. When I cut it on, it just gives it the vocal, that extra vibe that I'm looking for. Then I'll go to the software. I go to there and use all the plugins that I have to even complement it more, boost what I gotta boost, and do what I gotta do to make the vocal more clear. And so that's what I use them two for. Then we got the I got different microphones. I got the blue microphone. I had this for a while. I'm using the blue microphone specifically for when I'm doing these videos. It gives it a nice clear sound, a little better sound. And it's always like the blue for how it looks. How the blue looks, it always, it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. The Neumann. Listen, bro. I didn't call this microphone these two names forever. I still don't know. It's a simple Google search, but I still just call it a Neumann or a Neumann microphone. Everybody knows these microphones. You've been in the industry, you've been making beats, you've been rapping, you've been whatever. You know what this microphone does. It's the I would say high top of the line microphone. You got better ones out there, obviously, but if you want to have a decent vocal recording, this is a good microphone to have. It picks up, makes it clear, and these tube compressors and tube EQs, that's what it does. It gives it that extra boost that you might look for in a super expensive microphone. But honestly, you can, if you mix game on point, you can have that vocal sounding, right up there, like what these big studios have. I always loved utilizing what I have. I love using home studio equipment, but I also have some nice professional gear up in here just to have to keep up with the big dogs. That's what it is. We're gonna keep up with the big dogs, and to do that, you gotta invest. You guys, you gotta invest. Put that bread up to get these nice equipments. That's important. So that this microphone right here comes out clear. You're gonna definitely see the difference. I started off. We started in the studio with a recording microphone that you hold in your hand. Like, that matter of fact, we started with a webcam microphone. Come on, man. Y'all know about it. Like we started with a webcam mic to record our vocals, then upgraded to a live mic, the one you perform on a stage with. Then from there, we got the condensers. I had blue for the longest. I had blue microphones for the longest. So I stuck with blue. I still use this blue here and there. Right now, the Neiman, I'm using that microphone for the vocals right now, and it's coming out super clear. But honestly, like I said, you gotta have them plugins. And plugins is, what's gonna make you make or break your mix. Like your mic, you gonna see the difference with your mic too. But when you throw that mix on, they ain't gonna know what mic you use. They ain't gonna be like, oh, that's a blue, that's this mic, that's that mic. No, they gonna hear a good mix or a bad mix. The microphone just complements your mix. It makes your mix a little bit easier. So having a good quality mic, that's important too. But start off what you guys start off with. It is what it is. The speakers, Yamaha, that's what I rock with. I've been rocking with Yamaha for years and years and years. I had the 5s, now I'm rocking with the 8. And you can't go wrong with the white and black speaker. That's a vibe already. So, just bringing a nice little vibe to the studio. I have a nice vibe to the studio, comfortable. So, the having the all white speakers, that was, as soon as I seen that, copped them right up. So the Yamaha, good quality. They last a long time. I had the KRKs. The KRKs went out on me. They were decent too. But the Yamahas, for me, is the way to go. The JBLs, honestly, I don't really use the JBLs too much, but it is good to have just for a different, just to hear it on a different frequency or a different size speaker. Because hearing your mix on different speakers is important. Even headphones, when you pop in the headphones, most people are going to hear your song or instrumentals on the phone or the car speakers. Not everybody gonna be playing your songs in the studio on these big speakers. So being able to hear your mix on different speakers is it's a plus. You don't necessarily need it, but it's the plus. And I had these speakers for a while, and like I said, I barely use them, but they do come in handy when I need them. Studio vibe, gotta have the PS5. We've been on the PS5 Call of Duty for ages now, so got the PS5 in the background. Definitely is a necessity right there. So we got that. What else we got? I got some drums, some percussion, stuff like that. That's always to complement the instrumentation or a song. Like, it's always good to have I don't want to go 100% digital. Having some acoustic sounds, some organic sounds available for me is a plus. I don't want to go 100. I don't never want to go 100% digital. So I do have those instruments on hand just in case I need them. Headphones. So we got 2 pairs of the DT 770s. These are my favorite. I would say definitely my top headphones choice. Quality's nice. They got different ohms for different purposes. That's something good to look into, because that's important depending on what equipment you have. The ohms, that's where that comes in handy. You want to make sure when you play these that you're getting the volume that you want. So that's where the ohms, that's a good thing before you buy them headphones, look into, because that's very important. So I got 2 of them. I got some other ones in the background. I also got the Audio Technica headphones. Those are decent. I like them too. Kind of like a flat mix. A flat mix, you want to have a nice flat mix because you don't want to wear headphones and they already boosted. You got high low ends, high mids, high highs. So when you mixing in headphones, if you are mixing in headphones, you want to make sure it's flat. So when you mixing, it's going to be accurate when you replay them in your speakers, because that's super important. That's another thing to look into. But if you purchasing headphones, honestly, you can purchase headphones before you purchase speakers. Technically, if you wanted to rock with some headphones to mix in, you might have neighbors, or you whatever your situation is, you can't blast these speakers. I had plenty of situations like that. I had big speakers, and and I got neighbors right there that you can hear just walking the steps, let alone blasting the speakers. So sometimes the headphones, late at night, that's what you're gonna have to, you have to use them out of respect. So headphones are super important depending on your studio location. Like me, I started in the living room. After that, went to the bedroom. So headphones, headphones are a vibe. You can't, honestly, it's hard to compete with the headphones when it comes to speakers, when it comes to certain vibes. When you producing, you got the sound all around you in your headphones. That's a super vibe. So, you can invest in some high quality, flat headphones, and you get a decent mix out of them. You could start off for sure with that. And also, what I want to mention is, start small. Depending on your situation. My situation, I started getting little by little. You don't gotta get the everything at once. If you wanna, I started getting my studio equipment in high school, so I wasn't splurging here and there getting equipment. Right now, I try to invest in getting some good quality equipment, because I could do that. But if you starting small, you start in your home studio, you can, there's so much equipment available now compared to back then that you have a lot of choices now. For example, when I use Pro Tools, the interface would only work with Pro Tools. Like, you ain't have no other choice. You want a Pro Tools, you had to get the interface, and you had to, use it with the software. Now you can get a nice, decent price interface, use it with all the softwares. I started off with Reason. I started making beats in Reason, recording vocals in Cubase, and kind of upgraded from there to Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools. Now I'm using Logic, and the reason being is, when it comes to software, whatever works best for you is what you should use. You might hear this is better, that's better. That's, yeah. I mean, to you, you so used to that software. Right now, like the short keys and knowing how to slice and knowing how to use it. A lot of these software have the same features. Now, if you want to get technical and say this, that's cool too. But that's why that software is good to you, because you know that software well enough to know that it does this and this and that. I'm familiar with Pro Tools, Cubase, Reason. I use Fruity Loops, I use them all. But But now I'm settled right now with Logic. I might hop into Pro Tools again. Just be simple fact that, you know, the interface, I mean, the layout was nice, but you know, Logic, you know, that's you know, that's a good Logic is a good software right now. With that being said, I got Logic Pro X. A lot of different plugins, obviously Waves, Universal Audio. You know, you're gonna see that in all the studios. If you really into mixing your stuff, you're gonna see them softwares. So Logic Pro X is what I'm using to make the beats, and it's so easy to. Most of the time, I might have the beat pulled up with all the stems, and I record the vocals right in the same session. So, you know, that comes in handy. That was another reason why I just kind of got used to Logic, you know, just kind of using that same session to utilize, to do the vocals and the instrumentation. So you can mix it all down at once. That's like the main things that I use for my day-to-day studio production when it comes to making beats, vocal recording. That's like the main things. There's a lot of different things that I, you know, use to probably complement making the beats, like certain softwares that might come in handy. I'm gonna do a video on, you know, how a more detailed of what's in the studio, for example, like soundproof, and the reason why I want to do that is because I made my own soundproof, most of them. So, you know, stuff like that comes in handy. You don't always gotta go out and buy certain things. You can make it your own. And for the simple fact that it's just, you know, it's cool to learn something new and learn how the soundproof works and actually make it for yourself. And you can pick the color of the fabrics. You know, that's something to me that's important, to be able to make your studio space how you like it. You can buy anything you want as long as you happy with what you're making and you're creating and you getting the sound that you want at that time. You know, listen, man, you can get any equipment you want. You don't need all this. You don't need the top of the line gear to you know, it's all about who's ever in that chair. You know, that's all that matters. Whoever's in the chair making doing what you got to do, that's the most important thing, because you can have the top of the line equipment, don't even know what you're doing with it. So, you know, start decent. Start with the decent equipment and work your way up. That's the best way to do it. And you'll be able to appreciate when you in front of these big boards and SSL boards. You'll appreciate it more because you know what it's capable of doing. You'll know what you can utilize it for. I'm gonna do a video of how I flipped my own studio. So I made my own studio. So I turned my basement, which was an unfinished basement, I turned it into a studio. Because anywhere I go, if you know me, anywhere I go, there's gonna be a studio somewhere in the crib. I had a studio in the living room. I had a studio in this is high school. I had a studio in my living room, Queen Street. Shout out to Queen Street. You know, shout out my dogs that, you know, we was really in the studio in the living room making that heat. Listen, man, it don't matter where you at. You can make the heat anywhere. I had a studio in the attic / bedroom, and turned a random little space that's where the window is. It was a little cut where the window is. Turned that into a whole booth. You know, listen, like I said, you can make the heat anywhere. And the last spot I had in the basement. So this, you know, I turned this whole room into a studio, because I'm always have a home studio. I was at different studios, been to a lot of studios, but it's something about being in your own space, to me, is untouchable. Because I like to be in my own space when I'm creating. When I'm making an instrumental, when I'm doing some type of writing, anything involved with the creative process, I need my own space that I can go to anytime. And I don't gotta rely on nobody. I ain't gotta ask nobody for nothing. I just go in my own space. So I wanted to create my own space, which is comfortable for me and anybody who comes here. Because when people come here, I take pride in them being comfortable and being happy as well. So I'm gonna post a video of what I do have, because it was a long process of flipping the studio. So what, you know, I got some documents and videos, pictures of what I did to make the studio, make the booth, make the soundproof, finish the floors and all that. So I'm gonna do a detailed video on that, but I kind of wanted to show you guys that's what I use, you know, on a day-to-day. So I use what I know and what I have knowledge in. So I got 2 beat tapes out. You know, I had some people that was mentioning to me to put out some beat tapes. So I put out 3 beat tapes. And the reason I did, I have so much beats in my folder that I made over the years until now, that I was like, you know, why not? I got beats sitting here. I literally will make beats just for fun. Like, and I'll literally forget about them. Like, I'll be like, oh, I forgot about this beat. I'll remember when I play it. I'm like, oh, snap, I remember that. But I would literally just forget that it even existed before I play it. So I got so much beats that people didn't listen to, that you know, making beats is like therapy for me. So I got a lot of beats that just therapy made, that just sitting in the folder. So I want people to, you know, kind of hear what I worked on between the years. But I put 3 beat tapes out right now. So I got 3 out. You got Motivated Beat Tape. You got Duffel Bag Bangers. And you got Vintage Tracks. All 3 have a different sound purpose. You know, check them out. See what the sound purposes are. See what, you know, I'm kind of picky on the names too. So there's a purpose on why I created all these beat tapes and the names on them. So, you know, check them out. Those are out now. I got one of the artworks on the background. Cool story. I actually hand painted the cover, the part that has the paint splashes on it. I actually did that by hand because I wanted to do something, you know, I want to be creative, you know, I want to, you know, tap into all them creative juices, get all them creative juices flowing. So, you know, motivation. Also, you know, color is important. When you're color to art is important. So, you know, that's another thing. And that's why, you know, obviously, you know, the colors is motivational. So that's a big thing. So I handcrafted the paint on the cover. So, you know, I had this video plan. It is not scripted. I didn't write any notes. I kind of just, you know, I kind of went with the flow on this one. So it was fun just kind of describing some of the equipment I use. I probably forgot a lot of stuff, but, you know, I definitely wanted to put out a nice little studios tour, and, you know, kind of what I use for my creative process. You know, stay tuned for more. You know, much love.